Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to another episode. Today, I am excited to chat about some of the phrases or sayings that we need to unlearn as business owners. I hear people saying these comments all the time, and for 5 years, I kind of just have nodded and agreed. And a lot of these things just simply aren't true. And in fact, I think they're kind of damaging to our businesses, to our mindset, to our self-esteem. And I'm going to get into all of the details about some of these lessons that are just simply not true, that I think we need to spend a little bit of time unpacking and unlearning. So this is going to be a solo show. It's just me this week. And then starting next week, we will get into more frequent interviews. I know you guys love hearing from other balloon people around the world, and it took me a bit of time to get my ducks in a row for this year of episodes. So those will be coming more frequently in the future. But for this episode, it is just me. We are going to take a quick break and hear from a sponsor and then get into all of these lessons that I hope I can help you unlearn.
If you're a garlands-focused business, I already know that you probably started your business by posting on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and by getting those direct messages. Well, if that's where you're at today, I would love to help you get people calling you and finding you without needing to use social media all the time. Those higher end clients, they want to see your work on a website. It's time to get that website together so that you can attract those higher budget clients. Hi, I'm Jeff from Balloon Suite, and we specialize in building websites specifically for balloon decor businesses. Our pricing starts at $50 a month, and we have pre-built website templates specific to balloon decor. Don't waste your time with the DIY. Go ahead and start with my team at balloonsuite.com, and you can jump ahead, be better with your time, generate more sales by having a website that represents your work.
All right, let's jump right into it. So you might be wondering, what am I even talking about? What are these lessons? Well, these are phrases that are just kind of thrown around in the business world, and I hate them. So I am going to debunk them and tell you why I think we need to do a little bit of unlearning in order to stand our ground and feel good about ourselves and also build businesses that work for us. So let's kick things off with an oldie but a goodie. The customer is always right. So I have heard this since childhood, right? This is always the phrase that is thrown around in the customer service world, and it doesn't make any sense. The customer is not always right. Sometimes you are right. As the owner of your business, as the expert in your industry, you are right. Your customer is not. And I can't think of any other industry where this is true. When you think of a doctor-patient relationship, the patient is not always right. Or if you think of a student-teacher, the student is not always right. If other industries made decisions based on that idea, things would go south really, really quick. So I think it is okay to kind of just kick that little idea out of your brain. The customer is not always right. A lot of times the customer is clueless, and they are very okay and open about the fact that they're clueless. I love when a customer is like, I have no idea. I don't know. You're the expert. It's yes, that is my favorite type of customer, that when they hand over authority to me to do what is needed for their event, because there are times the customer is just wrong. If somebody wants, a 6-foot garland to fill a 10,000 square foot ballroom, they're wrong. It's not money well spent. Or in realistic, complaint situations, there are times when customers will complain about things that were clearly stated in the contract. You have it in writing. It was their misunderstanding, unfortunately. And in that situation, I feel like a lot of times this is the thing that kind of haunts us in our brain, that we have to think that the customer is always right, that they have to get their way in order for us to be good at customer service. And that's just not true. You're going to lose a lot of money. And I am someone who is always like quick to refund someone because I don't want them to be upset, and I don't like confrontation. But there are times when you can make it right by doing something else. So if there is a complaint based on something that the customer is just wrong about, you can still go out of your way and offer them maybe a discount on their next purchase, or try to make the situation right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're right and you're wrong. I don't think that that is a great customer service model. And I also think sometimes that can lead to us being really vague in our offerings. Like whatever the customer wants, that's what they get. Well, that can also lead to disaster. Like if you're promising something that you know isn't going to work, if someone wants, black balloons, helium inflated outdoor in July in the sun, if that's what they want and we go with this assumption that they're right, like you're setting yourself and your customer up for a bad situation. So I think it is okay to throw your weight around if you are the expert in your industry, which you are, and you need to guide your customer. It's not about who's right and wrong, but it's about you giving them a great experience before the event so that they feel confident in what really is right, which is your expertise and what you say. That is why we take classes. That's why we grow as business owners. You need to be in charge, not the customer. All right, let's move on to another one. This is the idea that we should under-promise and over-deliver. I hear this all the time, and there's an entire episode about this and the risks of over-delivering that we will link to in the show notes. But there are a lot of reasons why this idea of under-promising and over-delivering could really get you into trouble. The biggest is because if you under-promise and over-deliver, that means that you're undercharging and then bringing a bunch of free balloons. So that is, first of all, going to cut into your bottom line. But also, if that person orders the same thing next year and you bring them what they ordered, they're going to be disappointed if you don't over deliver the second time. So there are a lot of ways to over deliver that don't cost any money. Great customer service, amazing communication, a clear website, making sure that your customer feels, valued and heard, and that everything is the way they think it's going to be. I wouldn't say that that's under promising and over delivering. That is delivering appropriately. That is delivering exactly what you said you were going to deliver. And trust me, that in itself is a wow factor. So many people are just confusing to work with. It's hard to know when you're supposed to pay or when something's due. They're late. They kind of like change things at the last minute. So just doing exactly what you say you're going to do puts you above and beyond. You don't have to under promise and over deliver. Why would you want to under promise? I promise people exactly what they're going to get, and then they're thrilled when they get that thing. So I don't know what a cute phrase is to replace this one, but I don't like it. I don't like the under promise, over deliver. I think we should strive to clearly communicate exactly what we're going to do and then exactly do those things. I think that makes you a standout business owner. All right, moving on to number 3. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. All right, this one I think a lot of you will already agree is false. Not a great way to think about your business, because you will get left in the dust. Simply put, you could be an old dog refusing to learn new tricks, but you have to. There is this idea of learned incompetence. Someone just told me this phrase the other day. I'd never heard it, and I think it is a great cautionary phrase to be aware of. This learned incompetence. I'm not good on the computer. All my stuff is on paper and that works for me. Oh, we're old school. There are some ways where being, old school and sticking to what works, that is really beneficial. But there are other ways where we are just resisting moving forward as business owners. And that can be technology. That can be with the way you communicate with your customers. That can be with your style. There's a lot of people that kind of poo-poo some of these newer balloon styles that are coming up, and I'm jumping on them. Whatever the new trend is, if that's what people want, that's what I'm going to become an expert in, while still being an expert in whatever styles historically have made me money. So I feel myself kind of turning into an old dog in certain areas like social media, like texting. I'm like, ugh, texting my customers feels so invasive. Like, I don't want to do that. But you know what? Like, 100% of text messages get opened. So maybe I need to look a bit more into marketing and advertising via texts. And this doesn't mean I'm going to like act on that immediately, but I think just kind of keeping your ears open and your eyes open and being willing to learn is how you don't get stuck in this old rut, because I can already feel it happening, and I've only been in business for like 5 or 6 years. But what feels comfortable is what we want to cling to. And for me, I know it's really hard to embrace new things, new technology, new ways of doing things. But that, I think, is how you grow and you evolve with your customers, because whatever customer is going to book you tomorrow, it might be their first time booking balloons, and they don't really care how things worked 10 years ago. They want to do the way that it works right now. So I'm really guilty of this one, and I'm trying not to get stale. I'm trying not to get stagnant in my old ways. And I think that just comes with being aware that it's easier to keep up than to have to try to catch up like years down the road. So don't turn into an old dog. All right, let's take a quick break. I have several more, and some of these are a bit meatier. So we're going to take a quick sponsor break and then fly through the last tips to consider. The other day, I got another message on Instagram from someone starting their balloon company asking where I find my products. And I always refer people to Having a Party Wholesale. They have all of the brands and manufacturers that we love and use as balloon professionals, plus all of the equipment and odds and ends that we need to run our businesses. And anytime you order, you can use the special code BRIGHTBALLOON at checkout to get an extra 5% off. All right, let's keep on rolling. So we've talked about the customer is always right. Wrong. Under promise, over deliver. That one gets dicey. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. That one's hard, but we gotta adapt. We have to grow. This next one is keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Okay, so this one I hate. I think it's really unhealthy. I think it's mentally unhealthy. And I think the area where we all do it the most is on social media. We follow our competition, not even our competition, because I actually think that's a little bit smart to keep an eye on what's happening in your local area. But like, we follow people who just drive us crazy. And it could be balloon people, it could be people from high school, but I have heard this called the hate follow. Like, you follow people just so you can see things that annoy you, right? You like follow things just so you can roll your eyes at someone, or you follow people just so you can have snarky conversations about them in private groups, or you follow people just because everyone else is following them. Like, there is this idea of like limiting what you see in a good way. I think that this idea of keeping your enemies close, if there is a brand or someone who bothers you, there's no reason to fill your Instagram feed with pictures of that person. Like, I think that's really bad for your mental health. I think a lot of the times that we do participate in some of this hate following, it actually just comes back to bite us in the butt, right? Like, we feel worse about ourselves. We feel like that person is more successful or getting more business or getting better opportunities or more talented, and they don't even know. Like, there's nothing beneficial that comes from that type of hate following. So I say keep your friends close and don't give a crap about your enemies, right? Like, why do you want that toxicity in your life? So if there are people that you are following on Facebook, if there are people that you're following on Instagram, if there are podcasts that you listen to where like you just feel like you have to keep up with the gossip or whatever. Get rid of that toxicity and just unfollow the people that need to be unfollowed. I know you can all think of people off the top of your head. Maybe it's the homecoming queen from your senior year of high school. Maybe it's someone who beat you out for a balloon job who's down the street. Following them doesn't do anything to improve your mental state or your business, so just let it go and move on. All right, speaking of moving on, let's move on to our next lesson or tip here that I disagree with. And this is the idea of do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Now, this one is a yes and no for me. I get where this is coming from. Like, by following your bliss or whatever, it's going to be great. Except when it's not, right? Like, working in an area that you love can still be incredibly difficult, incredibly challenging, and incredibly frustrating. Like, there are days where I cry. There are days where I regret every decision I've ever made in my life leading to this point. Like, there are days when everything is going wrong and I feel like I have no talent and I feel like everything is just closing in around me, right? Like, and I think I just want to come on here and normalize that is kind of why I put this one on here. Because this idea of like, oh, I'm doing balloons and I'm so grateful for that. And I get to go to parties every day and my life is just so magical. Like, no, we still have to work in customer service, in sales. There are inventory problems. Sometimes things just go all wrong. And I think this idea that you should be like happy and enjoying what you do all the time or you've done something wrong is really just, it's just not true. And I think having that belief at any level can actually be really damaging. It can make you think that you're in the wrong industry or that you're doing something wrong, or you see people on Instagram who are so happy and everything always goes right. A, they're lying, and B, it doesn't mean that you're in the wrong industry. It means you're having a bad day. Like, I literally posted to a Facebook group a week or two ago. It was my big balloon group, and I had just like the worst day ever. Like, everything was falling apart around me, and I just needed to post in that group and just say like, everything is falling apart around me. Like, everything is going so wrong. And I was so excited and so grateful for the support of the people in that group because I think it's really important to be around like-minded people who can say like, yeah, sometimes stuff hits the fan and it's just like, it feels terrible. And sometimes you just want to quit. And sometimes you feel like you're this huge loser. And I think that that is part of running a business. So this idea of doing what you love and never working a day in your life, like one of the quotes that I got from one of the interviews I did was from Lily. And I think it was her first interview. And she was talking about, I don't know what she was talking about, mosaics maybe. And she just straight up said, like, it's supposed to be hard. Running your own business is supposed to be hard. It's not easy. And I think of that all the time. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be hard to make this much money. It's supposed to be hard juggling all of these things. So if you feel like you've done something wrong because, you feel like work is work, it's work, you guys. Like, it's supposed to. And I think that's totally normal. And then there are days where you just feel like you're living this charmed life and everything is perfect. And just enjoy those. But no, just because it's not easy doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. All right, this one. This one I hear a lot, and I think some people will push back on this one. But this phrase that you are not your ideal client, I believed for a very long time. I believed, yeah, you're right. Like, I am not my ideal client because I am not rich. I'm not going to spend $2,000 on balloons for my kids' party. So like, yeah, I'm not my own client. So I spent all this time like trying to market to people who were not like me. And then when I listened to the Money Archetypes by Denise Duffield Thomas, and I did a couple episodes on those as well, which we will link to in the notes, my opinion of this changed. And I'm probably alone on this one. I think most people still believe that they are not their ideal clients. But I feel like we are only not our ideal clients when it comes to money. But in terms of everything else, I am my ideal client. And so this is Money Archetypes, and this is also your area of innovation, which was a term that came from the book, The Pumpkin Plan. So we read that over on the book club and the Patreon episodes. I freaking love the Pumpkin Plan, and one of the things that was a game changer to me in that book is this idea of identifying your area of innovation. And just as a refresher, the three areas are price, quality, or convenience. So you're either the cheapest company, you are either the most like custom quality driven company, or you are all about convenience. And I am all about convenience in my company. And the thing I realized is that's because I'm all about convenience in my life. So while I am not like my average customer who is going to spend a ton of money on an event, I am like my average customer where I am going to go with the company whose prices are on their website and the booking process is really simple. And I don't want to handle any of the details. I just want them to do everything. So while I might not be like this when it comes to balloons or decorating or parties, I'm definitely like this about like getting windows installed, right? Like I am not going to go with the cheapest option and then install my own windows. I'm going to go with the company that makes it the easiest, that responds to my calls, that has a very clear payment process, that will come and handle all installation, all delivery, has a warranty. Like that is what appeals to me. So lately I've been thinking more and more about this, and I really think it's okay to be your ideal client. And I think it's kind of an advantage when you are your ideal client. Now, it's not when it comes to money, but it is when it comes to your area of innovation. You might have a super duper quality driven company. You might double stuff every balloon to get that custom color. You might charge through the roof because your customers appreciate that super high end. Everything is perfect. Everything is super high quality. And I would bet you're probably like that in your life too. You probably like quality products, quality, makeup products. You're not just going to go buy whatever the cheapest thing is. You are going to research and figure out what's going to be the best, what's going to last the longest, what's going to work the best for you. So there are some parallels. I think also if you are the price game, like if you want to be the cheapest balloon company on the block, that's totally fine. You probably are a bargain shopper. You probably really understand the value of a dollar, and you probably sympathize for your customers because you're also on a budget and they're on a budget, and that totally works. So all of this to say, you might not be your ideal customer, but I am. Like, I am my ideal customer because I am all about convenience and I like working with people who are all about convenience. And that has given me a lot of clarity in how I do things in my business. Because before I was a little intimidated. Like, you're right, I'm not my ideal customer. They're rich and fancy. But if I am just like them because of the way I like things to be conveniently presented and easy, it puts us on the same playing field. It kind of takes some of that intimidation. They might spend way more money than I ever would, but they're a lot like me in other areas. So I think it's okay for you to be like your ideal customer. I can think of other companies too that I'll think of Tiffany from Confetti Castle. She might not be exactly like her ideal customer, but I think in a lot of ways she probably is. They probably like communicating the way she communicates. Like, she's fun and she's easy to get on the phone with, and she's passionate about throwing great parties and entertaining. And I would bet that her customers probably are too. And that's why they connect so well. So I think it's okay for you to be your ideal customer, and you don't have to think of everything through this filter of like not connecting and not relating to them. I actually find it a huge advantage when I feel like I can relate and connect. All right. And the last one, and I don't want this one to get negative, but this is the idea that a rising tide floats all boats. Okay. Meaning that as we all grow as an industry, it's better for everybody. I think that is true. However, I think what people hear is like, we're all in this together. And I think that sometimes that can get a little bit out of whack. And I think it's just a good reminder to remember that, like, you are someone's competition. People are running businesses. And it doesn't have to be kumbaya all the time. It doesn't mean we're like cutthroat enemies, but I think some people think that like, why wouldn't someone just tell me exactly how they make this? Why wouldn't somebody come and help me? Why wouldn't someone sell me a bag of balloons that I need? And while I certainly put myself in the position to be like the champion of all of you and to be an educator and to be very transparent and open, it's okay if other businesses aren't like that. That doesn't mean they hate you. That doesn't mean that they're like trying to sabotage you. It just means that they are focused on their business, and that's okay. Like, I think in any other industry, comparatively, we are very friendly and very supportive, but I think sometimes people take that to an extreme and they just expect all balloon companies to have sleepovers and it's unicorns and rainbows and we all hold hands and we're best buddies. It's okay if you're not. Like, there is competition in certain industries, specifically in like cities where there's a balloon person on every block. I think it is okay to be supportive, but not answer all of your competitors' questions and go out of your way to basically grow them as a competitor. Like I am very open on this platform, but outside of the platform, I'm not looking to set up local workshops and train my competition. And I've actually gotten some pushback about that because as part of the host of the Big Balloon Build, people can't come from very close. So there's like a radius that you can't be within so that the host gets the publicity and basically the kudos. And I've had a lot of pushback about that. Like local people are mad that they can't come. And I think that is a side effect of our really fun, really supportive industry. And I think you should just be aware of that. Like that's just my 2 cents, that if your feelings are getting hurt because someone isn't responding to an Instagram message, it doesn't mean that they hate you. It just means like they're focused on their business, and that is fine. So yes, I agree with the phrase in general that a rising tide floats all boats. I think there's plenty of work to go around. I think the more good balloon art that's out there, the better for all of us. But that doesn't mean that your competitors have to reply to all of your Instagram messages and like be your best friend. So it's okay for there to be healthy competition. And it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong, and it doesn't mean that they're doing something wrong. I think it's a good reminder that like we are in business, right? And different businesses will be more or less accommodating to those kind of like friendships and support systems. And some might not be interested in communicating at all, and it's not wrong. It's just the way they want to be. So that is my list of statements that people fling around as truth that I just wanted to record a little episode about as like, maybe they're not all completely true. So customer might not be right. Under promise, over deliver. Why don't you try just accurately promising? Can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, and we can all work to kind of keep up on trends and technology, even though it is so hard. Keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. Cut those enemies loose, right? You don't need that toxic energy in your life. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Please. It is hard. It is hard to do what you love, and it's okay for it to feel hard. You're not your ideal client unless you are, like I am, and a rising tide floats all boats. Yes, I think it does, but remember that doesn't mean that you have to be best friends with your competition. Like it's still good for there to be healthy competition within an industry. So that is my soapbox. That is my spiel this week. Thanks for listening. And if you'd like bonus episodes, I'm waiting for you over in the Patreon group where we are finishing up our first book of the year and moving on to our second next week. So you can join me using the link in the show notes if you'd like. See you next week. Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. If you are interested in bonus episodes, check out our Patreon group where I release an additional episode every single week, and you unlock more than 50 archived episodes as soon as you join. Check out the link in the show notes wherever you're listening.